How you doing?
I'm very, very well. How are you guys?
We're not too bad, thank you.
Just not too bad.
No, we're okay. It's sort of getting past our bedtime now over here.
Sorry about that.
I've got to get John some Horlicks in a minute.
I appreciate you staying up for me. It's great to chat to you. Collectively, you guys are known as the RUBETTES. It was a band that was put together in 1974 after you released the song Sugar Baby Love. Is that right?
Well, sort of.
Well, the record was out, and then we formed the band properly then, after it got television. Clarke was supposed to be doing Top of the Pops, and the last minute, they didn't have their visa for from America to appear, so they got kicked off. We were at 51. The rule was inside the 50 you could get Top of the Pops, because it was the touchstone for success in England at that time. And they called us and said, okay, we're going to make an exception here. Come to Top of the Pops tomorrow. So that's basically how we kind of became successful.
Right. So tell me about how that song came about in the first place then.
There was a famous talent show on the telly at that time called New Faces. I don't know if you ever did. You have it in Australia?
We had our own version here.
Yeah. So a group called Shawaddy Waddy, which you've obviously heard of, won it. They were, unknown at the time, and Polydor were trying to sign them, and I was booked to do the session for them. Polydor were trying to entice them with these rock and roll songs, one of which was Sugar Baby Love. And they turned it down and said, no, thank you, we're writing our own songs. So Polydor put the record out anyway without a group. And then when it started to get plays on the radio, Wayne Bickerton and Tony Waddington from Polydor asked me to form a group. So I was working with Mickey at that time and Bill. And so we put together a group. We added 3 other people to it, and we became a group. Then we got the break with the television, like I explained.
Right. So it actually wasn't your voices or instruments on the original record.
Well, I was there. I played drums, and I sang the backing vocals, the Bubsy Waddy stuff. And I also did the talking part, and but the other boys they weren't able to. That time they weren't session musicians. They were booked on that.
They were session musicians. You mean, yeah?
They were, but they weren't on that session.
Oh, I see. The guys that eventually put the band together that became the RUBETTES. I hear you.
Yeah.
But after the single came out and shot straight up the charts, it was number one. It was number one in the United Kingdom for 4 weeks in 1974 and 37 on the US charts a few months later. Did you go out and start touring it?
We did, really.
After a year.
After we'd done a lot of rehearsing and promotion, really, with doing TVs all over Europe. And before we actually went touring.
Yeah, so we promoted it. It became number one pretty much in every country in Europe and in Scandinavia. And as you said, a small hit in America. But Polydor in America were really into funk stuff at that time. They didn't really like us. So they didn't really want it out. So they didn't do so good there. But everywhere else, it was a big hit.
And who actually wrote the song?
Wayne Bickerton and Tony Waddington.
Tony Waddington,
right?
Yeah.
The guys who put it together in the first place. So, how do you explain that it was such a massive hit through Europe?
Well, when something in the UK was such a big hit, instantly those record companies, like that you're in, Polydor would have had an opposite number in France, Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, etc. And they would generally follow on and think, oh, this is the big one, so let's put it out ourselves.
Yeah.
So they just followed suit, really, because UK had a, you could say, a dominant position in terms of world music at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you were doing tons of work around Sugar Baby Love then, and I think it was the same year, wasn't it, that you, with the Glitter Band and Mud, you all scored roles in a new film. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Les Patterson.
Ah, our very own Les Patterson.
Yeah. Barry Humphries.
Yeah. Tell us about that experience.
It was probably one of the worst films known to man. But I don't think he was quite famous at that time.
I don't think there were any Oscar nominations.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun. It's a nice document to have,
So what was your role on it?
We just played a couple of songs.
Just cameo roles, just playing.
Okay. So you did have a couple of songs up your sleeve at that stage.
Yeah, by that time.
Yeah. We'd had three. We had Tonight and Jukebox Jive. We had all that in the first year.
Okay, and they became hits for you too, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know if they happened in Australia, but Tonight was just after 12, I think, and then Jukebox Jive was number 3.
Well, you were doing pretty well at the time, weren't you? I don't actually recall those songs here. We certainly knew Sugar Baby Love.
Yeah.
And were Tonight, Jukebox Live, and I Can Do It, were they songs that you guys then wrote yourself, or they were still coming out of the original stable?
And we weren't allowed at that time to write the A sides, but the first chance we got was with Under One Roof and Baby I Know, which we both charted. There's self-penned by us, and they both charted in UK. But again, I don't think that we were terribly famous in Australia.
No, I mean, were you doing very much promotion? You weren't doing very much promotion outside of the UK or outside of Europe at the time, were you?
Only Europe, yeah, Europe and Scandinavia.
No, we did go to Japan.
Oh yeah, Japan we had hits, yeah.
And there was talk about going to Australia on from Japan. I think it sort of entailed quite a long time of being away, and at the time it seemed like, wow, we've been away for so long.
Yeah.
That decided not to go to Australia. We should have come.
Yeah. At the time, I imagine it must have felt like it would be a trip to Mars or the equivalent too. It was so far away.
Talking about other planets, there was a film, wasn't there, with Sugar Baby, Muriel's Wedding?
Oh yeah,
Wedding, Baby Love, over the intro.
That's right. Oh, that's an awesome film. Oh, that's good. So you've been sorry.
No, excuse me. I think we're also on a film called Breakfast from Pluto or something like that.
Haven't heard of that one. But you were dining out on Sugar Baby Love for quite some time.
Yeah. It sold about 8 million, I think, in the end.
That's pretty cool.
But I've also been on a couple of big hits around that time. I was on Barry Blues, Dancing on a Saturday Night. I don't know if it's in Australia, was it?
Yeah, we actually spoke to Barry Blue just a couple of weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah, he was very interesting to chat to.
He's a lovely bloke. Yeah, I played on all his hits, and a few of Lindsay Paul's. Have you heard of her, Lindsay?
Of course. Paul? Yeah. Is she still around today?
No, she died a few years ago.
Oh, sad. No, she was a fabulous singer-songwriter, wasn't she? Really good. So, John, how would you describe the genre that you were, the genre that you were practicing there? Where were you kind of pigeonholed?
Well, we were lumped in with glam rock, really, but there wasn't much glitter about us. We were more just white suits and white caps. But we just accepted the epithet, so to speak.
Yeah, white suits and white caps. I mean, that was quite glam.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice of you to say.
But how did it feel to be lumped in with the glam rock, all those glam rockers, though? They were really far out there. You were more tame, weren't you?
We were just grateful for anything.
I just think the journalism side of media, they just want to lock you into something, as you say, pigeonhole, and, oh, you're part of that, or you're part of this.
Yeah, I guess it makes it easier for us to actually do that, compartmentalize various acts. But you weren't locked into that, because some of the songs did extend beyond those glam rock in inverted comma boundaries, didn't they?
Yeah.
We were tempted to sort of move a little bit in the country rock area as well, because we were big fans of the Eagles and stuff like that.
And of course, at the time, it would have been, at the time, it would have been the first time you were hearing that music coming in from the US, right?
Oh, it's fabulous, yeah. And we also, the whole group, all the boys that sang anyway, there's 4 of us. We did you have a hit called Just When I Needed You Most?
Yes, we did.
That was us with Randy Van Warmer. He'd heard our records, and he said, you know, I really like your vocal blend. Would you come and sing on this? I've got a new record. I'm a new artist. So we said, yeah, I'd love to. So we came along and sang it, and that went to #1 as well.
So you're not really just one-hit wonders.
Well, excuse me. We may only be a one-hit wonder in Australia, but we had 10 in UK.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Have yourself.
That's great. Had the 4 of you been playing together for some time before you formalised the arrangement?
Yeah, as John was saying earlier, we were playing together with Bill in a pub local around the corner when the record started happening, and then and at the same time we were touring with the Barry Blue as the record started to chart. And so people would see Barry Blue on stage, and we're standing behind them, and the girls are going, "Oh, it's the Rubettes, it's the Rubettes."
And of course, you didn't get any. Sorry.
And we got the sack.
Did you? You became too popular in your own right.
Yeah, Barry got the No, he was okay.
So it was really. It sounds like it was really a matter of being in the right place at the right time for you, that you got that song, and life took a whole different turn. Yeah,
it's always the way, it seems, or a very important part, just being lucky to an extent, you know.
So
yeah,
sorry, John, go on.
No, I'm just saying it. It's like fate decreed it, and we took as much out of it as we could.
So how did life change for you guys as a result of that success and notoriety?
Go on, man.
I don't know, really. I just suppose, like everyone, we enjoyed a sort of living the dream, I guess, a little bit, you know, of suddenly getting success and having hit records and going to do televisions in different countries and seeing a lot more of the world than perhaps we would have done.
Right.
Yeah, it was like, I've always, sorry to say, but I was always wanted to be someone. You know, I think sometimes if you come from nothing and you're poverty stricken as a kid, you've had enough of it by the time you get a bit older. And I always wanted to be someone or something. And then when it came, you know, us human beings are a strange old bunch. Well, let's say I'm a strange old bunch.
I can see that.
Because it drove me mad. After a year of getting recognised on the streets and wherever you go, people were, it was like that, at least in the UK and in France and Germany. That kind of drove me a bit nuts, I have to say. But you just have to be mature about it and understand that people have, you know, they love you or they like you very much and they want a piece of you. And how could we blame them? We couldn't blame them for getting swimming pools and tennis courts and nice big houses. So, but I think I was a little intolerant about it all. Come, leave me alone. Come. After a little while, I've just realised that it wasn't something that I I desperately should have in my life anymore.
So talk to me about that. So you actually shunned it. I mean, I can imagine girls chasing you down the road, wanting autographs, wanting a piece of your hair, all that sort of stuff at the time. How did you respond to that at the time?
Well, first of all, I thought it was great, didn't you, Mick?
Yeah. No, I think it's
well, they took all his hair.
Good fun, first of all, and then you like a lot of things. You think, wow, I just need a bit of a rest from this. And you sort of start to want to be just someone sort of, Anonymous, yeah.
So did you don some dark glasses and a wig and get around town so that you wouldn't be recognised?
No, do you know, I was just going to say a funny story. I went to a recording session with Paul McCartney in the late 60s, before the Rubettes. And it was when he had his big beard, you know, with Get Back and all that. And he was recording another Liverpool band called The Foremost. And I was friends with them, and they said, "I'll come to the recording." So anyway, went to the recording. It was great. Met Paul, and he was really good. And then we went in the pub to have a drink, and Paul McCartney absolutely loved it because he had a big overcoat, his beard, and we just sat in the corner and no one knew who he was or took any notice. And I think he really realised what a great thing it was to have that anonymity.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, after being years of like can't do anything without crowds, you know, and mass.
It's certainly got its downside, doesn't it, Fane?
Yeah, definitely.
You don't get to pick and choose when you want to be in the public eye.
No, it's a difficult balancing act, I think, for well, not for me, but for a lot of people. If you must have that attention 24/7, it must be a nightmare, mustn't it?
Although the attention's got to feel good. I mean, that's in part, that's why I'd imagine that you started out wanting to be successful. It wasn't for the seriousness necessarily of your music, was it?
No, we couldn't say that Sugar Baby Love was any song that entitled that, with strange camp words in the middle of it, was very, you know, street cred. But we were just selling our souls for a bit of success and a bit of money, you know.
How did you handle all that success, John?
Well, as I said, I wasn't very good with it. I, first of all, lapped it up, and then it got on my nerves in the end. I remember one night we came home from working up north, and there was this stop off where all the musicians used to go called the Blue Boar along the M1, and we were having like an early morning breakfast about 3 or 4 in the morning, and some people on just next to us on the other side of the we were eating away, and just like, and I remember someone saying, "Hello, that's the Rubettes." And they were like serious, and we're just taking a notice and keeping our head down. And then the other one said, "It can't be, they're eating chips." Serious. That made me laugh. That wasn't like annoyed me, but it was like it's just a very bizarre thing. You think you want it, you get it, and then you realise it's not that important, or it's overrated. I don't know.
Was there any sense of fulfilment in all that adoration?
Mick?
I'm not sure fulfilment. I think we all appreciated how fortunate we were, but I think we'd have enjoyed it a bit more if we'd have been doing perhaps slightly different material than what we were actually doing at the time, you know. But that seems to be what happens anyway. You know, lots of people sort of disenchanted with some of the records they put out. And then when they later on they change and put something else out that no one buys.
Yeah.
And they realise it's not quite as easy as it might appear to have been.
When we toured with Sweet, they because they really like the idea of you know, of their or see themselves as a heavy rock band. So when it came to Willie Won't Come Home, and what's the other one, Nick?
Oh, I can't think. Yeah, that was sort of strange.
They had a couple of very lightweight, uber pop type of songs, and they hate playing them on stage, but the public loved them, and so they were encouraged to do them.
Yeah.
But I think we would have liked to have been a little bit more, I think, serious, so to speak, and some of our albums did reflect that.
I was going to say, in 76, you got a little bit more serious when you did Under One Roof.
Yeah. And actually, we got banned from that. It was just really a thing. Robin Nash, Top of the Pops, wouldn't have a song.
Why is that?
I think he thought it was too risque, and it wasn't us. And for some reason, didn't want us to do it. And yet, Rod Stewart done a song a little while later, didn't he? The
Killing of George.
And
it came through.
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was. I think being such a superstar as perhaps he had a bit more clout to, get himself, taken more seriously, perhaps. But maybe we didn't.
Why did you decide to do that song?
I think songs are funny things, Kathy. They come of their own accord, really. Sandy, sorry. What did
Kathy's the lady that looks after you.
Oh,
yeah.
I look after you too.
Yeah, I think they just write themselves, and the boys liked it. It was a kind of a country-ish sort of, and that there was that kind of androgynous sort of thing going on in the charts with Bowie and others, and it was becoming, if you like, fashionable. I think that was slightly to do with it, but I wanted to explore why a person may or may not become homosexual. I wanted to give an instance where, due to dysfunctional childhood, this boy actually became homosexual because the first person who loved him was a homosexual, rather than his father, who was a bit of a beast. So I think I always like a story. I make up stories. People think, is that you? Is it about you? And honestly, it's nothing to do with me. It's just that's how my imagination goes. All my songs are stories, really.
Yeah.
And they bear nothing to do with. They're very little to do with me, but they're more to do with how I view the world, and I want to bring to others' attention the reason why should we hate someone because they're homosexual. At that time, there was, even though it was becoming fashionable, there was still a lot of hatred and disgust around the area. So I wanted to show that someone could become homosexual circumstantially, just because he's looking for love and affection.
Yeah.
And the only thing to get from.
I mean, that was vastly different from anything anybody had heard before from the Rubettes.
Yeah.
Pretty much from anyone. There's nothing like that even ever recorded before. So it's quite actually it was a turntable here. And we did get a few televisions, but the main one that always put us in to the chart was Top of the Pops, and they kind of banned it, All
right. So yeah, that would have made it a bit of an uphill battle to get it heard anywhere then, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a problem. I think they saw that as a programming problem on the radio. It's a daytime or perhaps not night.
You were a bit ahead of your time.
Yeah, I think John was. Yeah.
You said, guys, that you said, John and Mick, that you always liked that country rock sound akin to the Eagles. It was 1977 when you put out "Baby I Know," and that became your most successful self-composed hit.
Yeah, that was another one from John.
Yeah, I am. Kathy, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Shall I change my name?
But
I'm going to write it down.
But I got a little cocky then after that, thinking Tony left the band, was just a strange thing. He sang the song, but then he left it. It was a whole convoluted thing. God bless him. So he left. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll sing the next one. And I thought, you know, like Take It to the Limit from the Eagles. I thought, let's do a nice 6/8 one, you know, rhythm. And I wrote this song, Ladies of Laredo, which was, I think, a nice recording. But the record company said, for God's sake, it was 6.5 minutes or something. You can't do that. But we were so big-headed. Well, I was so big-headed or whatever. Or no, I wouldn't say big-headed, but pig-headed, thinking, no, it's got to be like that. Well, let's just take a verse out. No, it has to be like that. I don't want to shorten it or anything. I was a bit precious, and we were all a little thinking, yeah, you just had a hit. This will definitely follow up. And because it didn't get played. So that was the end of us, really.
You were on the shelf then, were you?
Oh dear, it was fun on the shelf though.
Was it? Well, at least you got to rest and travel around the countryside without any of that love and adoration following you everywhere. That must have been a welcome change.
You're so sensitive. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. You've got a new single out now, though, don't you guys? I mean, I imagine. What did you do? You had a hiatus during those years and just chilled out for a little bit. How did you spend that time?
Mick, what did you do?
Well, I think we've done a few different things, but like a lot of things, I think you sometimes, for some reason, the record business has really changed, like massively. And so there's almost no desire to really make records, and the audience just want to sort of hear the old records most of the time, you know, which is the way it is.
Yeah.
But then John suddenly had a contact from what was a young fan from Germany, was producer. Who did he produce? Michael Schenker.
Have you heard of him?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Rock, and he was a big fan of John's, and he just contacted him and said how he was a big RUBETTES fan when he was growing up, and John said thank you very much, and somehow he sort of said, I've got an idea for a song, and so he sent it over, and then John added a bit and finished it, and next thing you know, he was going to record it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
I have listened to it. Kathy sent it to me. However, she sent it to me without a title. What's it actually called?
Oh, it's Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay, so Michael Schenker wrote it?
No. Michael Voss, who produced Michael Schenker and a number of big artists, he wrote it, sent it to me, and I added the middle eight, the talking bit, the high bit, and we offered it to the boys, and the boys all liked it. So they put their vocals on, played the instruments to it, you know, and sort of we sent the music back and forwards to Germany, and the vocals backwards and forwards to Germany.
Technology.
And it's awesome, isn't it?
So that's how it came about. Did you see the video of it, Sandy?
No, I haven't seen that. Is that on YouTube? Will I find it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll check that. So how does it feel to be back on the charts again and making a music video again after having all this rest?
Yeah, it was great fun. Great fun.
It's really nice.
Really good time, and really enjoyed it, you know.
We filmed it in a little, the north of Germany. People think that Germany's landlocked, but actually its very northern tip is open to whatever. Is it the Baltic?
The Baltic.
And so there's an island there called Rügen, and we went there about 4 or 5 weeks ago and filmed it there. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and you'll see the light in the film is fabulous. It's really wonderful, and it's a nice video. Yeah, so we enjoyed doing that, and then we went to the south of the island and played in one of their very old concert halls. You know, those beautiful. They look a bit like sugar icing cake sort of place. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And we did a great concert there, and then we flew back to England. But yeah, and we've also done one for Ukraine. Did you see that video?
I haven't seen that one. Okay, I'll check that one out too. That's nice that you've done that.
Yeah. Is it right? Do you talk about that? You'd say
no. Go on. I was going to say.
Well, we've got like a German entrepreneur friend who, his idea was to make the videos, and so he said, "Why don't you write a song for Ukraine?" And Mick said, "Okay, but won't it look like we're trying to jump on the bandwagon or something?"
Yeah.
So we were hesitant about it. But in the meantime, because I'm a bandwagon jumper, and anyway, I'm shameless.
No, everybody started to do it anyway. So
I thought, well, let's just do one anyway because we care.
Yeah.
So we wrote. Bill wrote a verse, and he sent it to me, and I put the chorus and the other bits and pieces in, and it turned out really nicely. And he flew us over again, and we went to a place that was kind of looked like a bomb ruin, like in Duisburg in Germany,
where we had a lot of coal miners. So then we found a derelict coal mine.
All right.
So we shot it there in black and white. It's very dramatic.
Oh, we'll definitely we'll have a look at that for sure.
And the money, and my friend, I'm a Krishna devotee for nearly 40 years now, and my friend does food for all, which is the devotees do it all over the world. Wherever there's a temple, there's a rule that in a 10-mile radius at the temple, no one is allowed to go hungry. So we do this thing called Food for Life or Food for All. And this chap that feeds 5,000 every day in London, homeless people generally, and students and stuff like that. And he when he heard about Ukraine, he's such a go-getter. He went out there with, I think Chrissy Hind gave him some money, and some other people did. And he went out there and set up food pods on the border of Hungary and on the border of Poland.
Amazing.
And then he also went into Kharkiv and took some vans and some big pots for cooking and stuff. It's like a real amazing person. His name is Parashuram. And so I told the boys about it, and they said, "Well, let's donate any sales money to your friend." So when you see the CD of it, I think that's actually out now, Mick, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Was it out a few weeks back, or was it in a few weeks' time?
I think it's out, but tomorrow is only just coming out now.
And
anyway, it's called "Together We Stand."
Okay, that's fabulous. We will take a listen to both of those tracks and have a look at the videos that go with. And
thank you.
And what a wonderful effort on your part to donate sales to Ukraine. That's great. I better let you go, John Richardson and Mick Clarke from the RUBETTES. Thanks a million for talking with me. It's been really lovely meeting you.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
Bye now. Bye.
Bye-bye.